I'll tell you when we're live.
All right.
All right, we're hold on. All right, yeah, we're live now. So yeah, let me click record on here, and then we should be good to go.
All right.
All right, let's rock out. Yeah. So welcome to another edition of Gen Sports Corner. Back at you for 8/2/2020. Here with my co-host, Mr. Ryan himself. Introduce yourself, sir.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Ryan. I do my own little sportscast. I'm on. It's called Ryan Sportscast. I haven't done one in a minute, but I'll be back on there soon. How y'all doing today? It's quite the day for the Flyers, I'll tell you.
Oh yeah, man. You talk about opening up the season with a bang. They couldn't have came out more on fire than they did. What you think about that game?
It was kind of like wow, like you come in this season, you wonder how is that momentum going to continue the way they ended, when before this whole COVID thing started. And they just came out there like a little rusty in the beginning, a little, looked like Boston was getting to them a little bit, but then they just came out on fire, man. Like I just didn't even see it coming. And Carter Hart, man, I tell you, much as they were getting in his face, he did not. He was unbelievable, man. He just held his own. He just played an unbelievable game.
Oh, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about the game and what transpired. So the Flyers came out in the opening game of the round robin series. It's a three games that they'll be playing, but they came out and beat the Boston Bruins, who had the best record in the NHL prior to the stoppage. They beat them 4-1, and that was very impressive with this team with Halak at goaltender, who's one of the best goaltenders in the game right now. They put up four on him, and they did it in surprising fashion with some of the shots they made. Um, you had on the scoreboard, I know you had Myers. He had the response goal in near the end of the second after the Bruins cut into the lead 2-1, and then Paul Myers comes out like damn near 2 seconds after that and scores a goal that some of these shots you just don't see them. They don't get made, and they put them in the perfect spot. You typically just don't see that unless you're playing video game, playing NHL 20 on rookie mode. You typically don't make those shots in a game. And to score them on a goaltender of his caliber was highly impressive. And you're not even talking about the first line guys like Giroux or Voracek or some of the guys like Provorov. You're talking about guys on the the second, third, and fourth lines making these plays, and it's highly impressive. So, what did you think about? And I know you wanted to get into this. What did you think about Carter Hart's performance today?
It was unbelievable. It was just on another level. Like it's just like I said, they had all that momentum before the break, before COVID and everything, and just you wonder, was Carter Hart going to look the same? Was he going to have that same momentum? Was he going to have that same swag? It was just so much uncertainty. You didn't know if that momentum was going to continue, but it did. And he just looked like he was just on another level today, like in another planet. There was just times where the Bruins just on and on him, all over him. And he was just, they couldn't, they wouldn't budge him. Like he was just incredible. Like I was very, very, very impressed with his performance today. He just won't budge. Like he couldn't score a goal in that guy, like to save their life. It's just incredible, like how well you come off of a break like that. Like what was it, like 3 or 4 months,
Right.
and like they just on fire. Like in the offense, they were just yeah. I'm just kind of speechless on how well they played today.
Yeah, they played a overall complete game. I like the defense. He had 34 shots on him, 34 saves, but in general, the defense didn't really allow a lot of opportunities for clean shots on him, where or shots where there were deflections or where there were shots coming through traffic. They made it very easy for him, and he came out and rewarded their hard work by just shutting down anything that came his way. I was highly impressed with that.
Oh yeah.
And I was looking into a couple of things stats wise for the Flyers coming into this game. And one thing I didn't know was the Flyers were the hottest team in NHL in the last 10 games prior to the stoppage. They won like 9 out of their final 10 games, and they had the most points scored, or the second most points scored, the first or the second most points scored since November 2nd or something like that. They
Mhm.
were on a really long hot streak, and they you could argue that they were the best team in the NHL between them and the Bruins
Right.
in the 10 games leading up to the stoppage. And they picked up
Oh,
right where they left off. And honestly, they look a little bit better. They look sharper, they look crisper, they don't look lackadaisical. They're chipping the puck into the zone. They're going there and they're maintaining possession. And one thing that really stood out to me, I don't know if you noticed this, but they were pointing this out. And this is not something that I'm necessarily familiar with them being great at, but they were beating the Bruins on faceoffs a hell of a lot of time. They were like four out of the first five faceoffs they beat the Bruins on, and that's huge.
oh
I,
yeah.
I don't associate the Flyers with consistently winning the faceoff, but when you're controlling the puck off the jump for the majority of the game, your chances of winning are going to be high. You're going to be a very difficult team to beat, and I really liked one particular series, one particular sequence where Claude Giroux saw that the guy he was facing off with was left-handed, so he flipped his stick to so he was left-handed, and then he won the face-off, and then flipped his stick back to his strong hand. It's like all those little details. They are the difference between being a good team and a great team. What do you think?
Yeah. They. I now that you mention it, I didn't notice. Like, come to think about it, I noticed they were winning their. Like now that I think about it, they were winning their face-offs, and they. I thought they did a particularly very good job at that, and that's like you said, they look. They look sharper at it too. They look better, and I think it's only gonna. They keep playing like this, man. I don't know what team's gonna stop them. Like, knock on wood, but I'm telling you, like it's if they look like this again this coming game against the Capitals on Thursday, I don't know who's gonna stop them. Like they just look on another. Like I said, I'm very impressed.
Yeah, and that's what I'm looking for to see how they do against the Capitals. But even during the season, it's almost like this season the the Flyers have been more successful against the Capitals than they've been in years past, similar to the way the Sixers have been against the Boston Celtics. Where the Celtics were a better coach team, they had a better overall roster, and the Sixers, unless they were playing a perfect game, they were having a hard time beating the Celtics. Whereas this year, it's just clear we're better. We took away Al Horford from the Celtics, so they don't have him, and then we have him, so they have no answer for Embiid. And then we just have an overall just more seasoned roster, and the coaching, though there could be something to be desired still with the coaching, it got better from the experience in the playoff series against Toronto and the Nets or whatnot. And you can just see that the Sixers are clearly the better team now than the Celtics. And I think you're seeing the same thing with the Flyers. They always looked a step slower. They always looked a little bit smaller. They couldn't get physical with the Capitals, with obviously Ovechkin. I'm trying to think of the other guy, Oshie, TJ Oshie.
Mm-hmm.
They could never be physical enough with them. They always get bumped off the puck, or they just were a step too slow. And it always seemed as though the Capitals were skating circles around us. It always seems like they were skating circles around us, or they just had better passing. They were just an overall better team. Whereas this year, it just looked like we were a little bit younger, a little seasoned, and we were able to keep up with them speed wise, and we weren't getting muscled around. And I don't think they were prepared for that. And we were very successful this year against the Capitals. And
Right.
I'm looking for them to continue that, because I think that same trend is what we've seen with the Bruins, where the Bruins were another team where they were just bigger, faster with Marchand and Bergeron, big physical guys that when the Flyers went up against those teams, they just look like, okay, you're a cool little feisty, scrappy team, but we're the big boys now. And I think it's the exact opposite now. Like, we have bigger guys. We have guys that were here during those last 2 years that have grown bigger and stronger, like the Provorovs. They've seen how they play. They know what it takes to play at this level with that physicality and speed. And now it's like, you know what? We are part of the big boys now, and you're going to have a tough time every time you play us. Win, lose, or draw, you're going to be icing up the next day. Um,
Oh yeah.
so that's what I'm looking for with this series against the Capitals, because I think that as much as the Capitals have had the Flyers numbers over the past 3-4 years, now the Flyers are starting to flip that script.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're looking like a better team, and hopefully we can continue that. And just I think the way this team looked, they should dominate the Capitals. I mean, if they continue what they were doing, I mean, they're at home, right?
Well, nobody's at home now, but
Oh well,
in
yeah,
essence,
I didn't realize that. Where are they playing? Canada?
one one conference is in Toronto and other conferences in another part of Canada. I can't remember.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
In their
But
own
yeah,
separate bubbles. Yeah,
yeah. Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, there's no crowd, there's no advantages or disadvantages. Just, but regardless, they look zoned in. So it's we can keep this up. Like I said, I mean, play the Capitals, see how it goes. They play well against them, and then we got. I think it's the Lightning after that. You know,
yeah,
things are looking up for them, man. I see big things ahead of them. They keep on rolling, doing what they're doing. They consistently keep playing the way they play like that against every team. They're gonna go far.
absolutely. And talking about these NHL and NBA playoffs, I've really kind of downplayed the home court advantage and playing for the seeding and whatnot, but I need to correct myself on that. Yes, they won't have home court advantage or home ice advantage in either the Sixers or the Flyers case, but the seeding can really make or break you in this playoff run, because let's say the Flyers sweep all three of these round robin games and they're the first seed or even the second seed for that matter, being
Hmm.
able to play the weakest teams that you possibly can is only going to help you. Like you, especially if you're playing a team that maybe isn't as physical or isn't as fast. Like you don't come out of these series from the first round as beat up as you would. Maybe you finish the series earlier than you would because you're just better than the team. Like all those little things make a difference. And I want to quickly transition to the Sixers just briefly before we go full into that. The Sixers losing this first game against Indiana, they have the possibility to be anywhere from the third seed to the sixth seed. It can't be any higher or any lower. But that that placement within that seeding bracket can be critical for the Sixers, the same way as it can be for the Flyers. And the fact that I don't know if we were second. I think we were second or third in the standings when the season stopped. But the fact that as far ahead as the Bruins were, they had 100 points compared to 89 for us. And with 9 games left, there would be no way we'd be able to catch up to them. But now with the current structure the way it is, not only did we beat them, but we can take their number one spot.
Yeah,
That's insane to me. And for them, maybe they might not care as much. Like maybe they slip to a third seed. Maybe they just, who knows? They might feel as though everybody wants to win. Don't get me wrong, but he might feel as though, you know what, if we're not the number one seed, and that's the way it turns out, it's okay because we're good enough to the point where we feel as though we can beat the number 6 seed or the number 7 seed if we're in the second spot. We feel as though we're better than those teams. But me
absolutely.
personally, if I was in any of those teams' shoes, the Flyers, the Bruins, the Penguins, and I can't remember the other team, maybe the Lightning or whatever, I would want to be in that top spot. I want to play that 8th seed. That's just
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
Because
definitely.
yeah,
I
yeah,
agree.
yeah. Yeah, so those were some of the news and notes I took out of the Flyers game. Now I wanted to transition over to the Sixers game from last night against the Indiana Pacers down in the bubble, and I wanted to get your thoughts on that. What did you think about the things you saw, the things you liked, and the things you didn't like?
Well, the Sixers game, I didn't see too much of. I just saw it was like a bit up, back and forth, up and down. I heard some things. How did Shake look in that game?
Shake did not look good.
No. Okay, I figured since they
So
lost.
Shake got into foul trouble early. He had like 3 or 4 fouls by halftime, And then there was obviously, and he didn't have any points as well. And then there was obviously, oh, and then on top of that, a lot of turnovers. And then the altercation that you alluded to between him and Embiid, right? They showed a replay of it at halftime where Embiid came over to him on the bench, said something, and walked away, and Shake was not having it.
Hmm.
So, and then after that, I don't even know if he scored any points during the game. He stopped the turnovers, so to speak, but he didn't have a tangible impact on the game.
Right.
Um, yeah, so I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
I mean, if you're turning the ball over a lot, and I mean, it could be rustiness. You never know. Um, I'm hoping that's the case because I don't want to see a trend where they go back into this form of, I hear they're doing so well. Like I've seen some of the games before the actual season, the scrimmages, and
Right.
I thought they looked pretty polished and they looked pretty good. Tobias was looking good. Shake even was playing well too. To your point, what you told me about him playing good for, I think it was for the Blue Coats, or
Yes.
yeah, yeah. You said he played well for them, so I was kind of encouraged. So I just hope they can fix all this and move forward, and hopefully we can get Ben to shoot that jumper. And I think Tobias is rocking that fur quite well.
Yeah, I say stay with the half row. Don't change
Yeah,
up what's working, man.
yeah, the half fur. I'm definitely digging the half fur.
I think that he came in and he showed a lot of leadership in spots where the Sixers needed a little push or needed a score, needed somebody to take control. I thought him and Embiid, they carried this team. But the real story of this game, which goes back to the coaching, how do you allow TJ Warren to go for not 30, not 40, but 53 points?
I heard about that, man. I was like, who in the hell is TJ Warren? That's what concerned me because it's a nobody. And this is something kind of reminds me of before the season stopped because you heard a no name player scoring all these points. I forget who it was that had like, I think over 50 points, but I remember that happened in the course of the season before from another team. I can't remember who. But I remember it was a nobody. It was like, who is this guy? He's scoring all these points, making our defense look mediocre. I just hope this doesn't happen in the same case again. Like it being a trend. Like, I hope their defense can pick it up.
Now, question: do you think that that is a lack of talent, which I don't think, or do you think
I
that
don't think
that's
coaching.
coaching?
Coaching.
Yeah, because it almost seems as though Brett Brown doesn't adjust. He's like, this is our system. This is the way we're going to run it. These are the things we're going to take away. We're not going to focus in on one single player. We're going to treat everybody as if they're even across the board.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's true, but that's the way it looks from the outside looking in. Because every time TJ Warren came down the court, and it wasn't just me or you looking at it, the commentators were mentioning it. They were like, you see him just strolling down this court by himself. Why isn't somebody jumping on him immediately after the third 3-pointer that he hit from downtown?
Right.
Why isn't somebody immediately sticking to him like glue? Why are you allowing him to come down the court, not being harassed at all, and just stepping into 3-pointers like he's Steph Curry? And he keeps making them.
Yeah.
By the
And that's
20th point, you should have said enough of this. We're going to double team you. We're going to switch off on you. We're going to try to make you see ghost, so to speak, and not allow you easy looks. If you keep making these shots while we're harassing you incessantly, then you're earning it. I'll give you your prop, but not allowing him to come down the court and just do what he wants to. You need to start double teaming this guy. Maybe he isn't a superstar. Now, I have heard of him, and we've had issues with him in the past against the Pacers, so I am familiar with him.
right.
But he he's capable of dropping 25, 30 on a night, but there's no way in hell he should be dropping 53 on any
Yeah.
team in NBA.
Right.
I'm sure other teams, even if it's somebody that's not somebody that you talked about in the film room leading up to the game, if they just get hot that not particular night, scrap everything that you have in the scouting report. Just
Right.
say, okay, this is just your night where you're going off, you're shooting lights out. We have to stop you. I don't care if you're not the star on the team. We have to stop you in this instant.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to make the
So,
proper adjustments, man. You can't just let someone
mm-mm.
constantly keep scoring. You have to think of a different game plan. And that's where I see even other people on my Facebook bring up points like Brett Barron. It seems like at times you just can't adjust. And that's going to become a problem, especially when you get into the playoffs,
Oh yeah,
because teams key on your weakness. And if you can't adjust, then you're doomed. Like,
absolutely, absolutely. That being said, they need to clean that up. But I really loved what I saw out of Joel Embiid. He he played bully ball. I loved that. They tried to
mhm,
come out with this small ball lineup for the Pacers, and they had no answer for Embiid with Sabonis out as one of
mhm.
their all stars. Without that big man staying in the post, they had no answer for Embiid, and it was so easy. They would just toss it down to Embiid in the post, and he would just abuse what's the guy's name? That power forward. He's really good. Uh, what the hell is his name? Miles Turner. I think that's his name.
Could be.
Yeah, Miles
That's,
Turner. He was just
that's it.
brutalizing him in the paint. I mean, Miles Turner
Mhm.
is not a small guy by any means, but when you're in comparison to a guy like Embiid or Anthony Davis, you're a small guy. He had nothing for Embiid. Embiid had what 41 points, almost 20 rebounds.
Damn, that's not a bad game at all.
Not a bad game. It's a
That's a
dominant
good
game. It's video
dominant
game
game.
numbers.
Yeah,
If you're putting up 40 and 20, it's kind of like for
damn.
you to lose a game when somebody plays that well just tells you how. Because I mean, TJ Warren had like 39, 40 points at a certain point in the second half. Might have been the fourth quarter, and the Pacers were down by like 5 points. So
Right,
even though he was going out of his mind on offense, the Sixers were still winning the game. And then Embiid went out for a 5 minute stretch, and that allowed the Pacers to come back into the game because we didn't have scoring on the other end outside of Tobias. But that
right.
being said, still, if you adjust to TJ Warren and do different things to take him out of the game, if you can't take him out of the game, disrupt him to the point where he's not scoring a bucket every other possession, they win that game.
Yeah, absolutely.
They win that game. So hopefully this is a lesson learned in the first game, and you're not still learning this lesson by the seventh game of the season prior to going into the playoffs.
Yeah, yeah, and I think if I mean, I think this is it. Like, if you don't get past to what, like, say the conference or say you got to at least get to the conference finals in order for you to keep Brett Brown, or like get to the finals would be even better. But I'm just saying, you got to because it seems like his plateau is what's the finals before the conference finals? The semifinals, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, if you can't get past the semifinals again, I just think it's at the point where Brett Brown's gonna go. Like I'm just, I don't know. I'm kind. How do you feel about it? I'm kind of losing faith in Brett Brown a little bit.
I completely agree. I think this is a make or break season for him. If he has a good, solid run, he gets up to the conference finals and or the NBA finals, and they look sharp doing it. Then that that to me that would give the front office confidence in moving forward with Brett Brown. But if he doesn't do those things, then I think it's going to be tough to sell that that narrative about keeping Brett Brown because it's going to be like you said a repeating trend that we've seen the past 2 3 years, and
Yeah,
you can no longer blame it on the process. You have to then say, okay, this is something with the coach and not the lack of talent.
yeah. Because look at I mean, the talent's there. It's like
Oh
when you got
yeah,
Shake Milton, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, like it's just I mean the coach needs to be in Ben Simmons' ear, shoot the ball or something. You know what I mean? Like,
and that
but
that was the last topic that I wanted to get for the Sixers. So continue on with the Ben Simmons assessment.
right, yeah. I mean he he needs to be in his ear. It's just as simple as that. I just think that, and just got to be more disciplined and make better adjustments.
There was one play in the third or the fourth quarter. I can't remember which one, but the shot clock was running low. Ben Simmons got the pass from somebody. He drove it down near the elbow, and with like 3 seconds left, instead of turning around and taking the jump shot against the smaller defender, he passes it out to a drifting Embiid who goes out to the 3-point line and throws it up and misses the shot. It's just like, dude, take the fucking shot. You're right
Yeah,
there from like 15 feet.
yeah,
Why are you passing it out with 3 seconds left? You can see the shot clock. If you can't see the shot clock, your teammates from the bench, the coach from the bench is yelling it out to you. So you know that the shot is yours to take. You need to take that. You're at a reasonable range. Why are you not posting up on this person and taking the shot? That's
yeah,
to your point. It's and I, this may be premature. I'm going to keep looking at these following games and seeing if that trend changes. But if we don't see Ben Simmons start to not only take the shots in the pressure situations, but coming up, running set plays and taking shots, I think you really have to consider trading Ben Simmons away and keeping Joel Embiid and just building around Embiid.
yeah. I absolutely agree. Because you can't be having a player who's always scared to shoot. It's a sign to me of laziness and a sign that you don't want to grow. It's a sign that, like it just seems like he doesn't care. Like, and I just feel like you have to have a better, like LeBron James, he took shots even when he didn't have a shot and he got better. And the only way you're going to get better at shooting is if you shoot. Take the shot. You know what I mean? Like, you just gotta take it. It's only gonna make you learn and get better from it.
Yeah, the way I see it, the Sixers have one of two options. If he doesn't change, then you either trade him and build around Embiid, or you trade Embiid and build around Ben Simmons by putting a whole bunch of shooters around him. It's one
Yeah,
of two options. If he does change, then you don't need to change. You don't need to break up anything.
absolutely.
So I
Yeah,
guess that would be, in essence, I stand corrected. Three options. He changes, he starts shooting more, then you really have a problem on your hands for other teams with him and Embiid and Tobias Harris. If he doesn't change, then you either trade him or Embiid. Otherwise, you're just really just wasting time.
yeah, their best bet's to just trade Ben. I definitely rather have. I'm sure you would too. Rather have Joel and just trade Ben and build around and beat.
If it came down to that, I think it all depends on what your philosophy is on the current state of play in the NBA. Because some
Mm-hmm.
people will say build around Embiid because he's one of the last multifaceted big men in the game and he can score from anywhere on the court, which would be easy to build around him. Or you build around Ben because this is a shooters league. And if you put a whole bunch of 3-point shooters around him in the same way that you do like with the Rockets, like they don't really have any big men. They don't have Clint Capella left anymore. They just have a whole bunch of shooters. So you have James Harden and Eric Gordon and Russell Westbrook, not necessarily a sharpshooter from three, but he's a 3-level scorer still. He's a all-star triple double walking triple double. You have a whole bunch of shooters. They play small ball, and even though Ben Simmons isn't James Harden, what he does do that James doesn't is he brings the defense, and he's still a phenomenal passer. So you put a whole bunch of shooters around him, he could be lights out for you. So I mean that's a whole different tangent for another episode, but just food for thought.
Right.
And then lastly, the Phillies are going to be playing Monday again. I know the Yankees and the Red Sox are playing right now, but the Phillies are going to be back playing on Monday. I don't know if they're going to be playing at Citizens Bank Park because
Mm-hmm.
I have to go back and read the news on that because I know they were saying they weren't playing at CBP for the indefinitely until they figured out what was what. But the word is that they're going to start playing games again on Monday, whoever their next opponent is. But
Yeah,
the yeah.
I heard their the two tests. I'm not sure how true it is or not, but the two tests were false. But did you hear anything about that?
No, I didn't hear anything about that.
Yeah, like I heard something. I heard something like that, and that's why they're playing on Monday. Apparently, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what I heard. Could be, or maybe they're just prepared. They're good to go now. I don't know, but just wondering, maybe if you saw that or not. But
No, I didn't, but I just know that they're going to resume. This is from New York Post 8 hours ago. Phillies on track to resume season against Yankees after coronavirus scare. Now, I
Right.
don't know if there were false positives, but I do know, yeah, Phillies test negative again for COVID. Jake Arrieta is slated to start tomorrow night.
Okay.
But I do know that the Cardinals, they had a couple positive tests. So
Yeah, I
that's
heard.
concerning for them.
Yeah, I heard there were some concerns with the league, with the Cardinals, and how there's some more positive tests going on.
Yeah. And
So
since we're on coronavirus, there have been a lot of players that have been opting out from the NFL. Not like a rash of players opting out, but a few of them, notably Marcus Goodwin from the Eagles, who we got from the 49ers in the trade. And there are a lot of people that are being placed on the injured slash COVID-19 exempt list. So people that have either tested positive for COVID or who have been in contact with people who were COVID-19 positive.
right.
I, so I'm curious to see what precautions they're going to take leading up to the season because as we've already known now, there's going to be no preseason. So they have a full month to have their testing protocols in place to test everybody and make sure everybody's clean. I don't know if they're going to have a bubble
Mm-hmm.
for the NFL or whether they're going to have individual bubbles in each city, but
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be interesting to see moving forward because I think that that's the only way that you can truly have a sports season. Otherwise, you're always going to be at risk for positive people testing positive for COVID.
Yeah.
And I don't know what your viewpoint is on this, but this is the sacrifice you're making to earn the money that you're guaranteed under contract. You're going to have to miss your family. You're going to have to miss social events, at least the ones that are still going on during this current climate. You're going to miss going to the places that you like going and all those little luxuries you take for granted on a daily basis. You compare the MLB and contrast that against basketball, and they're so lax with the MLB, and that's why they're having such a headache, and it's been such a nightmare trying to keep outbreaks, these mini outbreaks under control, and trying to keep this season going. Compared to the NBA, they've had no positive test. When Lou Williams tried to go out and get something to eat at the strip club, even something as small of an incident as that required him to quarantine for 10 days, no ifs, ands, or buts, no questions asked, a strict
Right.
no limited to low tolerance policy. And they're not having to really worry about this. You're hearing about the MLB in the news every other day, but you don't hear nothing about the NBA in terms of positive cases. And that's obviously not by chance or coincidence. It's for
Nah,
a reason.
yeah, you're absolutely right. And if I'm the MLB, you got to be looking around the sports. You know, just sports in general. And just thinking to myself, okay, well, what are all these other leagues doing? Are they testing positive, testing negative? And if you see positive results from somewhere else, you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, okay, I need to fix this. And what they're doing is having a positive result. So what are they doing? They need to look at themselves and say, okay, if they're doing that right, then maybe I need to follow in the same trend, and if they do following that bubble thing that the NBA is doing and NHL is doing properly and they're having success, then they need to follow on that same trend because the MLB is hurting for business right now.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
uh,
And yeah, those are the big things for the four major sports. Lastly, just a little off topic, something that just popped into my head. What do you think about the Tyson Roy Jones fight coming up in September?
I think it's very interesting. I think it's I'll definitely be checking out the fight. I think it's to see Mike Tyson come back and see a lot of the him training on Facebook. Some of the videos I've seen, he's looked impressive. So I mean, I haven't seen much on Roy, but I know Mike Tyson looks incredible. I mean, that's training. Like you said in one of your other your spot or podcast or whatever. That could be different when you get in the ring. you know, it could be a different story. You don't know, but I mean, from what I've seen, I think he can translate to that into the ring. Honestly,
Yeah, I personally, I hope that they have a good undercard because when it comes down to it, you're talking about two fighters that are way past their prime, and you're just having an exhibition match, just a friendly show. But that being said, there is no exhibition match when it comes to Mike Tyson. Mike knows one speed, and that's destruction.
absolutely.
So whether or not Roy Jones takes this seriously, which I think he does, but I don't think he realizes like this is not going to be an exhibition match. Like
No,
Mike is dead serious. Like he's going to come in there trying to knock his head into the third row, and no
absolutely.
fans are going to be there to catch it because of coronavirus.
Yeah,
So he needs to come in ready to be as close to the Roy Jones of old as he possibly can because the legs aren't what they used to be, and if he ain't moving around like he needs to, I just wanted it to be as safe as possible because, like I said, Mike ain't throwing uppercuts to kind of like play tag or pity pat. He's trying to really hurt anybody he's in front of. So that being said, I want there to be 3 to 4 good fights in the undercard. That to me would make it a good event.
yeah,
Like bring in some, maybe up and coming stars, or because I don't think they'll get like main attraction type of guys, but just up and coming fighters that have good records or they're poised to be in bigger events. Bring them in and allow them to get some shine because even though the main event may or may not be good, we don't know. People are going to tune in just off of the names alone for Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. So if you can put good up and coming young lions on that undercard, that would do more for boxing than the main event itself.
oh yeah, without a question. And you know, I'm definitely looking forward to it. Like I said, I'll be buying it. I just
Yeah,
hope
same,
I just hope
same.
it's a decent card. You know.
You're talking about somebody who was hypercritical about the Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather fight, you
Yeah.
know,
Right.
and that being said, I should be hypercritical about this one as well. But you know what? Maybe before the pandemic, I would have been, but right now, I'm just happy to have any boxing in any form that I can get it. So I'm hyped about it. So
Yeah. Yeah, man. Especially when you're home all the time, we don't get to do much. You know, it's gives us a little entertainment to check out. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap this episode up. It was fun. Got to have a good win tonight by the Flyers. Hopefully the Sixers come back tomorrow, I believe. I don't know who they're playing, but they come back in their next game with a
Oh,
dub.
Flyers too?
Hmm?
Who, the Flyers?
No, 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 the Sixers.
Oh, the Sixers. Yeah, I'm
Yeah, I
not
think they
sure
have
when they play next.
no, I think they have a game tomorrow. Let me double check that. I know the Phillies do, but I don't know about the Sixers.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to
Yeah,
that.
Sixers play the Spurs tomorrow, as well as the Phillies play the Yankees tomorrow as well. So hopefully we have two victories tomorrow.
Yeah, I hope so. As long as Jake Arrieta doesn't shit the bed.
Yeah, that's not putting any bad mojo on him, man.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I just get nervous with him, man. I ain't gonna lie.
Gotta have faith, brother.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
But yeah, that's it for now. I'm Jen signing off.
And this is Ryan signing off as well.
Make sure you tune in to my channel, Gen Music 856. I have my sports as well as the music on there. This episode will be up there on the Gen Sports Corner playlist. Make sure you tune in early and often. And yeah, we're gonna keep this train moving. Good
Yeah,
talking to you, brother.
good talking to you too, brother.
All right.
All right.
Peace.
All right. That was a good segment, man.
Oh yeah, man.